Krista, and today I want to tell you all about the Fundamentals phonics-based reading program. It's created by Jeannie Eller, who has a Master's of Education, and she's been teaching kids since the 1960s how to read. I used this program with my first child 15 years ago when she was 3, and there were so many things I loved about this program that I still love. Having seen other programs, there are a lot of things I still love about this program, and I thought it was worth it to give you an in-depth view of what the Fundamentals program is, because it might be something that can work for you. The Fundamentals program, it comes with 8 CDs which guide you step by step from the very beginning all the way through to the end. You don't need to know anything about teaching a child to read. You put on the CD, you will follow in the workbook or with the game cards. Mrs. Eller is going to tell you exactly what you need to do, and she makes it so easy that I know that I have felt from using her program that I could teach anybody how to read, because she just makes it very, very simple. And the tips and tools that she uses can be used by anybody. They can be used by very young children. I started using this with my kids when they were about 3, and there's a big focus on learning the sounds of the letters as opposed to the names, because Mrs. Eller says that, and she's right, words are made up of sounds, and we can say the letters all day long, but if you don't know what sounds the letters make, you'll never be able to read. And she uses the example C-A-T, C-A-T. You can say that and it will never mean anything to you, but if you know the sounds, k-at, cat, then you will know by putting those sounds together that they make the word cat. And that is one of the things I love about Fundamentals. Okay, now it comes with these cards, which are picture cards to teach all of the letters of the alphabet, and on the back it has the actual letter. But everything is introduced with pictures first, and I love this because it really appeals to small children. And even if you want to start teaching and you don't want to use the workbook specifically for writing purposes, you can do all of the things with just the cards and start working that way with your young child. And they have such an ability to learn to read, and it's a lot of fun. So I have some of these cards cut out that I colored, because they come just black and white. So I colored some of them to make them a little more attractive for my kids. So those are the cards I would like to show you. And it also comes with this workbook. And in the very beginning, every letter of the alphabet and all the sounds we make are associated with pictures. And so this is the part I really love, because if your child knows that this is a picture of an apple, your child can start learning to read, okay? It's that easy. And so in the beginning, she talks to you about all of these and about the sounds the letter makes. And if your child is able to write, then your child should do the writing in the workbook at the same time. But again, I don't think it's necessary. Parents of younger children who want a phonics approach for reading they don't have to have their child write in the workbook. But 3 pages in, this is page 3 of the workbook, they're already reading words based on they've learned 5 letters, I believe. They learn A, N, M, F, and E. And by the 3rd page, they start reading pictures to start learning how blending sounds together makes words. And they get a picture to look at. So for example, if you can see here, she has money, teaches them that money makes the M sound. This is a boy opening his mouth for the doctor, and she calls that the doctor sound. And the doctor, when you go to the doctor, you say ah. And this is a man pushing a piano, and so that's the P sound. So the child would just look at the pictures, and it's so easy for them to remember because they can see clearly that it's money. So they easily remember ma, up, mop. And so the kids, within 1 lesson or 2 lessons, depending on how fast or slowly you go, can read this word mop. And then they're going to choose from the mask or the mop to determine which word they read. And so the whole system is based on first learning a picture. You know, several pages in, it gets to where they're actually having to determine the letters, not just pictures. But being able to start with the pictures, I think, is genius, and it just works so well. And you can have a lot of fun playing. So for example, okay, I have some of the cards out here. Now I colored these myself because they're black and white, but as you can get an idea of how you can start working with your children, once they've learned a few of the sounds, you can put them together to make words, starting with pictures. You take the tooth, the apple, and the nail card, which the child has learned is ta, an, tan, and your child is able to read the word tan. Now, if you want, once you're done with the picture side, you can turn it over and show them the letters and have them read that as well for reinforcement. But in the beginning, everything is taught with a picture, which is just, it's genius, it's beautiful. You could take away the nail card and put in the push card. This is puff or push. And now we have the word ta, app, tap. And then you can change it to put the book here, ta, ab, tab. Change it out and put the gum card. And now we have ta, ag, tag. So I really think that using the picture cards really helps strengthen the child's memory and make it a lot of fun for them and make it very easy for them to remember the sounds of the words, the sounds of the letters, which are what come together to form the words. Making reading, it just breaks up the code and makes it very understandable for kids. So this is a program I absolutely love. And this reading program is really nice because it starts you at the very beginning. And so if you already have any kind of a foundation in reading, you can just move really quickly through, but you shouldn't skip any of the steps. So you move through and you learn at first the 26 letters of the alphabet, but all the while you're going to be learning to read and sound out words and match them up with their letters. And once you get through the alphabet sounds, you start to learn about shortcuts, which is another beautiful thing, and it helps children learn to read in a more quick and efficient way. She calls this shortcut An, the apple and the nail, that they appear a lot together in words. And when you see them, the children are encouraged to underline their shortcuts. And instead of going an, they're just an. And there's plenty of those shortcuts throughout this program that help them learn to read more quickly. So these are your cards that you punch out, the alphabet cards that you can use to make words up. And then as you progress, these are the shortcut cards. And as I said, every single sound has a picture associated with it. So the child is introduced to the picture first, and then they learn what the sounds are. So for this sound, the SH sound, they have the picture shoe. For CH, they have chair. For wheel, they have WH. For TH, they have thumb. And then these are some shortcuts, and there's pictures and picture cards for all of the vowels. They learn all of the short and the long vowels. Then there are game cards, again, with a focus in the beginning on the picture. So these are game cards that they play, and they start, and it comes with little pieces and dice. And you roll the dice, and they have to move. And every time they move, they have to say the sound of the picture, which they've learned on the CDs. And there's game cards for every step. There's game cards for learning all of the shortcuts. She calls them the shortcuts for the superhighway. Again, games that kids really love to play. There's a bingo card for them to recognize the actual letters that they get to play that. And there's game cards for all of the sounds that they're learning. And basically, in the fundamentals program, the kids are going to learn there's 44 sounds that we make with our mouth, and they're written in 70 different ways called phonograms. So they're going to learn the 26 letters of the alphabet, the 44 sounds we make, and the 70 ways to write them. So the deal with action reading is that it's not just a reading program. It teaches reading through phonics. It teaches reading comprehension, because there are stories throughout that the child is practicing their reading. Let me see if I can find one. That they will practice reading the stories, and then they will answer questions about the story. I guess that comes a little later back here. Okay, so here's an example of a short story here. And there's ways that she uses to mark the sounds and words that make it very easy for children to remember. Again, I used this with my 3-year-old. She was about 3 and a half. And it took us a little more than a year to go through the program. And that's because she was younger. But by the time she was 5, she was able to She mastered the program and she was a very good reader. And so they would read a story. Andy has a sister named Betsy. Andy likes to play games. Sometimes he plays hide and seek with Betsy, sometimes he plays with his friends. And then the child's going to answer the questions. Now, so children learn how to spell because of the phonics. They learn how to write, they learn how to spell, they learn how to read, and there's reading comprehension. And what else did I want to tell you about? I think I told you pretty much everything I wanted to mention about the program. Again, it's a very solid reading program. By the time your child is done, let me tell you the story that they should be able to read on the last page. So obviously, if your child can read this already, this program is not for you. But Mrs. Eller states that if your child is having any difficulties, let's say for example, you have a child who is reading on a 3rd grade level and they're older, you should start back at the beginning. You shouldn't just go back to a 3rd grade level to try to put your child there, but obviously your child has missed something in their foundation and you need to go back to the beginning, and this would be a great thing to use to make sure they're firmly grounded in each principle and all of the sounds so that they can move forward. Oh, and before I forget, it includes this instructional video of Mrs. Eller. It's a 47-minute video and she gives you a lot of information. This is for the parents to watch. And then again, step by step on the CDs, she takes you through the whole process. Tells you exactly what to do. There's not a sheet that is instructions. You watch this first, you put on the first CD, and you do everything as she tells you. She'll tell you which cards to take out, when you need to take them out, what words are going to form. There's different songs the kids sing as they go along. And so the Fundamentals is a very solid program. So here's the last story in the book, right here. So when your child gets to page 98 in the book, this is what your child should be able to read. George has fudge all over his face. He bought the fudge in the candy store on the corner. It cost 50 cents. Mr. Grange, who owns the candy store, asked him, "Where did you get that 50 cents, George?" George said, "My father gives me money when I go to the store for him. Yesterday I bought him some cereal. He said that next time I go to the store, he will give me 75 cents. That is very generous of your father," said Mr. Grange. And then your child would answer the questions. And one of the nice things too is that because it's very phonetic, you are able to use the symbols that she teaches you to mark things in the words that make it very easy for a child to break a word up into its syllables or parts so that they can sound out very large words. So if you're looking for a good phonics program, I would definitely recommend the Fundamentals. It was by far the best one that I've ever used. And I just wanted to mention, just an interesting aside, I think it was in the 80s or the 90s, Oprah Winfrey had Jeannie Eller on her show, and she took a group of illiterate adults and she taught them to read in 2 weeks using her Fundamentals program. And at the end of 2 weeks, they showed them walking through the streets, and these people who had never been able to read were able to read signs and read posters and read things all over, and it was just, that's an amazing story, and that was based on her program, so I think that speaks volumes about it. Okay, thank you for watching.